4th down, the final play, unless they can stick it in the end zone. Dorsey under pressure, throws it, incomplete. The Buckeyes win.
Ezekiel Elliott, and he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him?
Feature the two backs as receivers, and now a downfield shot on first down for the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State strikes first. Making adjustments again, and there is Smith running free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly from 45 yards. Pressure comes. Sword, knock it out, and picks it up. Jeff Sword coming down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score and dagger from 82 yards.
Here they come.
Heavy pressure. Howard delivers downfield. And Smith, he's got it. Jeremiah Smith. 2025 college football national champion, Coach Ryan Day, and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Welcome in, Buckeye backers. We are bringing it to you live from Seattle, Washington, to the cornfields of Enid, Ohio. We are the pulse of Buckeye fans across the nation, with Seattle Matt and Buckeye Steve. What is up, Buckeye backers? Welcome to the show. I think I need to get some lights on, but until I do, I don't know why I didn't turn the lights on, but we are basking in the glory of Ohio State. Like, this was a game that you wanted to win, and you wanted to win decidedly, but you know what? We did it. I mean, it wasn't a matchup game, as Ryan Day said, and Ryan Day said it in his post-game conference. He was like, you know what? This isn't a matchup game, so we need to be more particular. Grade people a little harder. Like, these guys are definitely going to be held to a higher standard, because if you mess up on a play against a matchup team, that can cost you the game. You mess up here, it's not going to cost you the game, but it's a good learning opportunity. And I thought that was a good way to put it. He talked about Sang's interception and how that's a good learning point. And it was basically like, yeah, and now it can never happen again, but it was a good learning point. What are your thoughts about Sang and going 18 of 19? Wow, man. 95%, third most in Buckeye history.
It was good to see them open up the passing game. And we talked a little bit about this last Sunday, where everybody knew they could run against Grambling. Establishing the run was not going to be the focal point of this game. What you wanted to see is the maturation of Sang in this game. And yes, we understand the competition, but game reps are game reps. They're critical, and really see what can he do when you start expanding the passing game. And I thought he made all the right reads. He put the ball in all the right places by and large. We can nitpick the one quite a bit that we need to. Costly turnover in the red zone. But I have to think at that point, you already have 4 TDs. You're maybe a little confident, and you're just trying to force the ball into Tate. As opposed to making the right read. If you actually watch that, there really looked like there was only 2 wide receivers running routes, and they were pretty well covered. That's one where you probably have to scramble or throw it through the back of the end zone, because they had it covered pretty well, both Smith and Tate. But by and large, what you saw was every throw Sang was making was exactly where the ball needed to be placed. He was making the right reads. And so that's what you wanted to see from a game like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When he's making those right reads and things seem smooth with him, it's like that California cool thing is the real deal for Julian Sang. I wasn't expecting this. I mean, I don't think anyone was expecting them to be that on fire to start the season. 2 games in, I mean, both games have just been on fire. His completion percentage is through the roof. And honestly, last week it could have been better. You got to love, if you're Ryan Day, if you're an Ohio State Buckeye, you have to love what's going on with Julian Sang and from the quarterback position. Because coming into the season, right, that's one of, if not the most important position that we had to recover from losing Will Howard, right?
It's the most important position to recover from. You always have that unknown variable when you switch to that new quarterback, regardless of what year they're in. And so that was certainly going to be something. And again, I think I was a little concerned with the quarterback competition throughout. Did it mean that Kindholz was just as good as Sane, or did it mean that Sane had maybe regressed a little bit? So we really weren't sure what that competition was all about. I think I knew what it was about in spring. I didn't know what it was about in fall camp as much. So seeing him kind of take over as QB1, and then in these first 2 games, he did everything he needed to do in those 2 games to be successful and lead the team to a win.
I honestly think Ryan Day was surprised. You heard him talk about it after the Texas game. He was like, honestly, we could have thrown more at him. But, we thought first start against the number 1 team in the nation, we were going to take it easy on the boy, baby steps. And then they threw everything at him. And like you said, we wanted to see them air it out this game. That was one of the things we wanted, a lot of reps of Julian saying. What we were debating about was, how long do you keep them in the game versus how long do you get, or how much do you start to get some of the other quarterbacks in to get some reps? Because we need that depth too. And that's a real serious question in a game like this, right? Because we didn't see Tavian St. Clair really throw the ball. It was handoff after handoff after handoff. And I would like to see him get some reps in live action throwing the ball.
You also have to say to yourself, if you're seeing Tavian taking real snaps in a game this season, something went horribly wrong. So
yeah, but we've seen it happen in a season especially for Ohio State in the past. We've seen it happen where Cardell Jones takes us to the national title. Is it highly unlikely? Yes, but it's possible, and you got to be prepared for it. And we also saw when Kienholz had to go in against Missouri in the bowl game. We don't want a showing like that again. I think Buckeye fans and Buckeye Nation and Ryan Day himself is on a whole new level now. It's you got to be prepared for any circumstance that happens. He has the time to do it now because he's more of a manager. He's letting Hartline call some plays, I think, and he's got the defense settled with Matt Patricia.
Yeah, you are seeing that next iteration of Ryan Day. Really, over the last few years, you've seen that defense kind of catch up to the Ryan Day offense. And now, again, is that next iteration of the program, which is complete and utter dominance in every game that you play. And he's building towards that.
And it looked like it.
Yeah,
it looked like it with his face on the sideline. Yeah. They made comments during the game. Hey, he's not smiling. He's up 63-0. There's no smile on his face. He's still, concentrating on, what's next. Where's this improvement coming from? And I think, to me, and I don't know his thoughts, obviously, but to me, I think his head's like, all right, where am I going to find improvement with this game? The whole time, that's what he's thinking of. Where am I going to find some improvement, process improvement, get things better? What were your kind of keys to things to concentrate on for next week?
Yeah, first off, you are facing an Ohio team next week that did beat West Virginia at home. And I think if you're Ryan Day, you're thrilled that Ohio won that game. They lost by 3 to Rutgers on the road, and then they beat West Virginia at home. And that's great. And again, West Virginia could be a 4 or 5 win team. We don't know until the dust settles. But the fact is, you beat a Power 4 team as a MAC school. And that's always something you want to hang your hat on. So right off the bat, you got to be thrilled going up against a 1-1 Ohio team that's going to give you it's going to give you a much better competition than you saw this week. But when you go to a game like this, there are a few things I always want to look at. The first is I do want a lot of points on the board, and I do want as close to a shutout as possible. I think one of the biggest red flags we overlooked in 2023 was when you beat Youngstown State 35-7. And that may sound really silly, but we spent, it was a prelude to the entire season of basically saying, okay, Vegas keeps telling us we're going to win these games by 30, 40, 50 points. And every week we're like, okay, this is the week that offense is going to get clicking. And it never clicked throughout that entire season. So right off the bat, you're seeing them overcome that by saying, we're going to start clicking week 2. We're going to dominate an opponent we should dominate. That was absolutely what I wanted to see right away. Not playing around, not being cute with the play calling. They went right down, scored again, etc. The area I was frustrated with honestly, is the 3 penalties. And that may sound really silly, but this is a game where you go in and you say, I don't want any mental mistakes. I want you lined up where you need to be lined up. I want you executing the play the way it was supposed to be executed.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw 3 procedural penalties. You had 2 offsides in an illegal formation. Granted, illegal formation was in the 4th quarter, and I understand all of that. But if I'm looking to go in there and I'm saying, hey, if you're going to be 1 snap away from being in a game as a backup, I expect you to be lined up right. I expect you to be watching the football on the D line. I expect you to be in the right places. So those are the areas, if I was a coach, that I would be hammering this morning, to basically say, listen, you're 1 step away from getting into the shoe in a very important game. Know where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, there were little circumstances like that I saw, particularly this morning when I went back and looked. I know I saw it during the game, but Lincoln Keenholz, his last run, there was a obvious missed block by Phillip Bell. Like, he just completely whiffed. And those young wide receivers on the outside, this is the difference between a starter at Ohio State. They have the talent to catch the ball. They have the talent to take it to the house. They have the talent to make every possible catch you could throw at them. They have the speed. They could start anywhere. The difference is the blocking, like the little things, the intricacies. Like, you have to be able to go downfield. You have to be able to make a block, and you have to be able to spring Keenholz for what would have probably been a really long run, because the guy that he missed the block on made the tackle. And Keenholz can take it to the house at any time. Like, dude's got some speed. Dude's an athlete. Don't be surprised if in mop-up duty you see him take it 70 yards sometime to the house.
Certainly. And again, those are the teachable moments, and really the whole unit can learn from those teachable moments. So just because a 2nd stringer or a 3rd stringer missed a block or had a procedural penalty or missed a route, that's something that those coordinators get to go in and really hammer. Hey, this is why we tell you to be in this position or run this route. You see why it's open. You see why missing this block led to a tackle as opposed to a gain. So those are those teachable moments. And again, a game like this, what you want to see is opening up that passing game, getting it clicking, which they certainly did. And we'll dive into this a little bit later, but I absolutely love the utilization of the tight ends throughout this game. We know what Smith can do, and Tate can do, and Ennis can do. And if you're a D coordinator playing Ohio State, you're clearly keyed in on those. You're keyed in on the run. You just added an entirely new element for defensive coordinators to worry about, and that is the tight end position. And we got to say it in that generality, because it wasn't just Claire.
BJ is back. Here we go, BJ. It was a great Ohio State win yesterday. Absolutely, it was a great win. You know, I don't think that you can take anything away from it. I know the talent's not equated, and I know you expected a win, but guess what? They did everything that they needed to do. They pitched a shutout. They put 70 points on the board. You could be looking at a Georgia situation where they barely got by against that FCS team. Like, they did. They handled their business. They got it done. And they got a lot of 2nd team, 3rd team reps, which is really what I wanted to see. The 2nd team and 3rd team reps. But before we get there, I guess we got to go into the defense a little bit, because we didn't get a lot of defensive pressure as far as sacks are concerned. 1 sack, right? Zion Grady?
2
sacks? Who had the other one?
Curry. Caden Curry.
Curry, yeah. I always forget about Curry's sack. All right. 70 to
and,
nothing.
and this is something that Ohio State fans are going to have to adjust to. JT Tuimoloau ain't coming through that door. You know, Jack Sawyer ain't coming through that door. Your defensive line is not the same as it was last year. You had elite pass rushers last year. You're not going to have that this year, and that's where Ohio State is going to have to be a little more creative in getting pressure on the quarterback, and that's going to put a greater strain on the secondary, and see if they can withstand that. That's where I think hopefully in this Ohio game, one of the keys I want to look at right off the bat is, are you still rushing 4, or maybe that first half, are you getting a little exotic with your pressures, your blitzes coming from different angles? See what you can do to get more pressure on the quarterback, because right now it kind of feels like these quarterbacks are just sitting back in the pocket a little bit, and you're depending on your secondary to make plays.
For sure. And the secondary has been making plays. I mean, you saw Caleb Downs get that pick. It was nice to see that, to see him bring one down. I talked about it in our other show after, we do a little recap afterwards, and me and AJ. And I was like, I heard some draft analysis, and I think it was from the guy that does the big one at the Atlantic. And he said, Caleb Downs may not be as high of a draft pick if he doesn't get some picks. Like, he needs to get some fumble recovers, some picks, something to show that his worth to the defense that, hey, we're going to take you a little bit higher if you're getting that ball back for us every time, being that ball hawk. So it was good to see. AJ was like, that's nonsense. Yeah, you might as well throw your mic away and stop writing stuff if you're not going to have Downs, the best football player on the defense in all of college football, taken in the top 10 of the draft.
That's where it gets a little tricky. I would say at the NFL level, you do expect your safeties to get interceptions. That is something that you want from that safety position, especially. I don't know if you want to call Caleb a strong safety or a free safety, but especially from the free safety position, you want him to be that center fielder snagging things. Sure. Whether or not Caleb Down goes 4 in the draft next year or 11 is going to be contingent solely on need. He is an elite defensive player. I think NFL teams are just going to be like, hey, can I take a safety at 6? Is that a luxury item when I'm a 5-win football team? He's an elite player, but I may need a quarterback. I may need something else. So I don't think Ohio State fans should read into mock drafts on whether or not Caleb Downs is picked 4 or 12 in next year's draft. He's the best defensive player in college football, and we're blessed to have him.
And ultimately, it matters at the end of the year where people have him going, not the preseason. So there's plenty of time to change a narrative, even if there was a small narrative saying, hey, you know what? Maybe he's not the first overall taken. Just I got it down on a rabbit hole. Let's get back to the locker room.
No, it's good because, again, this is going into this game as well, too. When you're at Ohio State, you come to Ohio State to make it to the NFL. You're not getting some big NIL paycheck like some other schools and players. You're coming to Ohio State to play in the NFL. So when I'm looking at any draft-eligible Ohio State player, I'm sitting down every week and saying, here's the things you need to work on. These are what NFL scouts are looking at right now when they're sitting in the stands watching you. Here's what you need to do to get to the NFL. So I like that you say, hey, Caleb, you're doing a lot of things right. You're always in position. You're a great tackler, brilliant mind. Guess what?
Now, go get me that damn ball. Get me that
NFL teams want a ball hawk safety. They want a ball hawk safety. You look at Kyle Hamilton with the Baltimore Ravens out of Notre Dame. Yeah. Very similar. I think Caleb could be better, but that's what he does. He's kind of that thumper, but he also is a ball hawk. And so if I'm Caleb, I'd be modeling myself after somebody like Kyle Hamilton and say, okay, this is the next iteration I need to take. We don't need to be resting on our laurels at this point. You need to be constantly improving and finding that motivation. And that's where I'd say any draft eligible player, what do you need to do to increase your draft stock in the NFL? And anybody that's not that, it's what are you doing to get better week over week?
For sure. Well, hey, we got to get into this from BJ too. I'm glad that Smith got his 2 touchdowns. Absolutely. This would be a completely different talking point and a completely different game if Smith didn't have 2 touchdowns and was pulled by start of the third quarter. Like, you had to get some of those backups in there. Smith had to get his, and he got that 87-yard touchdown reception. I think that was the second most in Buckeye history, or second longest in Buckeye history. So, I mean, you go out and you make some historical catches, and then you sit the bench for a little bit and rest up for the Bobcats coming to town on Peacock next week.
It was important, but I liked early on you saw Tate and you saw the tight ends kind of getting him some of the passes early. But I like the fact that they weren't forcing the ball to Smith, but it was the natural progression, or maybe you were calling a player or two here and there to try to have him be the number one option or get open. So I like all that. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to build up his stat line because he didn't have a strong stat line in week 1. So I think this is good. But I will say when you're looking at the Heisman campaign, they want to see what else you can do in some of these other games as well. So I'd really like to see that continue against Ohio.
For sure. You need some of those highlight reels. Doug Shepard from the locker room. It was a fun game to watch, but really what I wanted to comment on was this comment is great. The way Carnell Tate is playing, he's going to be an early first-round pick. 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks. Those are some highlight catches. Both times. Like, he's got a reel going, and both of those for touchdowns, too. I mean, that catch he caught in the front corner end zone on that left-hand side of the stadium.
Yeah.
Left-hand side of the field. Adam King posted a slow motion of it. If you haven't seen that, go check out his video because that was pretty awesome to watch. Get it slowed down.
Well, what's important about that is it was an NFL catch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because he had 2 feet in. He got that elbow fully in bounds before he rolled out of bounds, secured the football. So an elbow equals 2 feet in the NFL. That was an NFL catch. And again, these are the kind of things you want to see from these draft eligible players is, are you doing things that you can do at the NFL level? And I really believe the NFL is going to be taking notice of the wide receiver room. I mean, Marvin Harrison's a no-brainer. With Wilson and Olave, they got put in bad spots in the NFL. So no, I don't think anyone's blaming those two for not putting up Justin Jefferson type numbers. And Marvin Harrison's only in year 2. I've been hearing amazing things out of Arizona about what he's done between year 1 and year 2. But what you really want to see this year is Ibuka. I want to see Ibuka ball out, and I think he's going to have a great opportunity in Tampa with Baker Mayfield. I say all that to say these things are going to help Tate. So if Tate is putting on film, I can make an NFL catch in the corner of the end zone. And every wide receiver taken out of Ohio State is playing at a high level at the NFL over the last 10 years. These are things that are going to improve his draft stock dramatically. For
sure. And I posted, like, that DB was in the right spot. I mean, it was just he had great position, but Tate just makes an amazing, like you said, NFL level catch. And it was an NFL level throw, to be honest with you, too. Only where Tate could catch it. And if it wasn't Tate out there, I mean, Jeremiah Smith would have caught it. But that was a throw and a catch that only those two could get their hands on. Getting the ball there and the receiver getting his hands on it to bring it down. And that's NFL level all the way. And that's why we are wide receiver U at Ohio State.
But that's the great point was saying is in these last 2 games, you're seeing him put the ball exactly where it needs to be. There are a lot of different things that come with a catch. We look at stat sheets and see a catch. Well, maybe a wide receiver bailed you out, or maybe a ball was tipped and it got it, and the quarterback put it in a bad place. You're never going to see it on a stat line. What you saw from Julian Sayin was not just completions where the ball absolutely needed to be. If you look at that, touchdown to Kazmarek, he was watch it from behind. He saw it right away. He almost couldn't even execute the play action because he was so giddy, but he composed him. He rushed the play action, which is fine. He saw it right away, that matchup on the linebacker. But again, he still placed the ball over the linebacker perfectly in the Kazmarek's hands while he's running. And it was the run after catch that allowed for that big touchdown to occur. Runs after the catch are a result of the quarterback putting the ball in the right place. So that's what you're seeing from Sayin.
Do you remember back to the spring game where we're like, maybe Sayin, maybe he's just a gamer? And dude, is he ever? I mean, when the lights come on, he is firing that ball right where it needs to go. I've heard a lot of it in practice too, but it's different. It's different when you're rushed, when someone is, coming at you, when there's 102,000, I guess there was this game. It's different when you have all that pressure on you, and he handles the pressure well, just calm, cool, collected.
California, but that's where, again, NFL, arm strength and accuracy, critical. Because there is a fundamental difference between college open and NFL open. And so seeing a quarterback have the ability to put the ball exactly where they need to, and he certainly has the arm strength, you're starting to evaluate him as, obviously he's not draft eligible this year, but somebody who has NFL quality talent based on ball placement and arm strength.
Yeah, beat the Bobcats, man. Down goes Ohio. We need to bring it. Obviously, they showed that they can beat a Power 4 team. They're going to give us a little bit of a battle. It's just going to happen. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a 70-0. We're going to have everyone out in the third quarter type of game. So we're going to have to be ready for the Bobcats when they come to town. And I hate that the game's on Peacock, but you know what? I guess I won't be watching it at my house. Do you guys think Tate looks more explosive this year?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, he looked pretty explosive last year, though, too, when he got the opportunity. The thing is, he was outshined by wide receivers ahead of him. I mean, when you have a Mecca Ibuka starting in your place or getting more of the attention, it's just hard. I mean, look at Mylan Graham now. Like, you're going to say next year when he gets the ball a little bit more, you're going to be like, man, he looks explosive this year. He's explosive now. It's just a matter of those fine little details. They need to get things hampered up, and you need to – it's almost like a rite of passage at Ohio State with wide receiver now too. Like, there's going to be a 5-star in front of you. There's going to be a 5-star behind you. You have to work for it day in and day out. And if you give an inch, someone else is climbing up that ladder and taking your spot.
And again, that's what these games are meant to be about. The Grambling, the Ohio, you look in November where the Big Ten gets a little bit softer, is are you executing in these type of games as well too? Because that does translate to the bigger, more important games. And he did. He executed.
Yeah. BJ, you're going to have to pump the brakes just a little bit there. I think we're going to have to see, just because it's only 2 games in and because he was kind of, handheld along in the Texas game. Wait till after the Washington game. Wait till after the Illinois game. If he shows out in both those games, we're going to start talking about a little bit about Julian for the Heisman, right? Because, I mean, that's possible that his name gets mentioned. If you throw in for 95% in a game, 95%. I mean, that's hard to do on air. I mean, even on 7-on-7, someone's going to drop the ball every now and then, and no one dropped the ball, even the other team.
Yeah, that was a bad read, and that's fine. If you're coach today, you absolutely love that play as a whole because it is a true teachable moment. And that's that fine line where you want that confidence in your quarterback, but not the cockiness. And it was just one example of trying to force the ball where he shouldn't. But in the future, that's where go back and watch the play. There was nobody open. So that's where you got to coach and say, hey, let's not force it here. Either run. If there's no running lanes, throw it 3 yards into the stands.
Had a quick window on the slant where he could have finessed it in there, but there were guys in the window and maybe
the linebackers
were dropping.
There was no window. There was no window for Smith or Tate. And that Rabby kid, that corner that made that pick, that kid was all over the place. I'd keep an eye on him.
Now, this is something that I think that we can start to talk about now. The back-to-back, Ohio State's rated number 1. They knocked off the number 1 team to start the season. Yeah, we can start that conversation now. I think back-to-back is a conversation we start to talk about. And I posted an article this week, too. If you check it out on cfbackers.com or any of my social media, I have it there. We're going to have to start talking about if he does go back-to-back, we're going to have to start talking about him in a completely different breath than we were last year at the end of the year. Before that and after that Michigan game, like, he can't win the big games. He's won 7 top 10 games in a row. 7. That's unheard of. Like, and I'm going to post a little bit of our snippet, a short from our last podcast with Matt, talking about if you come in a top team against Ohio State, just expect to lose. You can just expect it, which was absolutely mind-blowing, as a Buckeye fan, because we were always like, we lose all those, in my day, we lose all those big games, the USCs of the world that we were losing to, and when we play Alabama, we would lose to them. All the big games, those are the ones you would lose. When Baker Mayfield comes to the house and beats us, when Texas comes in 2005 and beats us. It was just frustrating. And now it's just like, take that for granted. If you're top 10, Dave's going to take you down.
It's a long season, though. And that's where the focus, the true focus of Ohio State football from this point forward is get to the championship game and win. You know,
Mhm.
beating Michigan is fun. Winning a Big Ten championship is fun. Last year proved it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is continuing to grow and develop each week so that you are clicking on all cylinders in late December, and you put yourself in a position to win multiple national championships. And I think Day is building towards that. If you want to be honest, we haven't had a coach win 2 national championships at Ohio State in 55 years, 56 years. So you're starting to do stuff that even the Tressels and the Myers of the world didn't do.
For sure. Yeah, and if we could go back to back, that would be absolutely amazing. It would be a great historical moment in Buckeye football history.
It's a long way to go. It's September 7th.
Absolutely.
I think I keep looking at this schedule. I think after Ohio, you 3 of your next 4 are on the road, which are those 3 places are not fun places to play. Seattle, Champaign, and Madison. Those are again, Wisconsin, I don't think much of, but those are tough road games. You got Minnesota in there, which should be relatively easy. And then you got Penn State. And then what's nice is, you got Purdue, UCLA, and Rutgers. So you kind of, those are get right. Those are getting yourself primed, getting yourself ready. Not going to compare it to Grambling, but comparing it a little bit to Ohio in that sense of, okay, what are you doing in those games to get ready? What you need to do, take care of business in Ann Arbor, and then really getting going here. But this is, again, where you don't want to be this red hot team in September. You don't want to be doing everything perfectly in September. You want to be able to mature and develop as this goes along here. And I really, like I said, I think that first test in Seattle is going to be key. It's your first road game of the season. You got a team that put up 70 points yesterday in Washington, albeit against, again, an FCS school. But
that's still a lot of points.
They put up 70 against UC Davis, same as Ohio State against Grambling. So these are the good tests that you're going to see throughout the course of the season. And we're seeing, again, I think you painted the point well. Georgia just scraped by against Austin Peay. Texas, we want to talk about Arch Manning all we want. He made some fine throws, nothing spectacular. So you're seeing right now, and Clemson was down 16-0 to Troy before they finally pulled it out by 11. So you're seeing all these elite schools that we thought were elite really kind of stumbling early on. So it's not really about September. It's going to be what we're seeing in November.
I think we gotta take BJ's advice and talk about this defense. The best defense this year. We're going to have the best defense. And it's shaping up like that so far. It looks like that. This defense is nasty. We didn't have a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Like we said, we had the 2 sacks. That Zion Grady sack was absolutely awesome. He held his spot. He set that edge, and he took down the quarterback when he rolled over, I guess it was to his left, to Zion Grady's, the defensive right. Awesome. All right, great. You also have Caden Curry getting in there and getting his sack. Awesome. But really what stands out is the 9 tackles for a loss.
That's it.
How many tackles for loss, or who had the tackles for the loss? You were counting it down earlier.
I mean, all over. You've got
Downs had one. Was it all different players? Did
all
anyone have more than one?
Curry had 2, but then everybody else was either at 1 or a half, and I'm not going to spend the next 2 minutes listing them out. Those are the keys. The TFLs are the keys because those are the trendsetters, especially on first and second down. Those can really hurt offenses. So I definitely want to see the TFLs. But I think that point's valid is we're not getting that pressure on the quarterback. Now, you look at the first 2 games, and it's going to get tough to get pressure on a top 5 team in Texas, and especially Arch Manning. And then you saw T-Set. They were getting the ball out within a couple of seconds. They weren't going to let that kid sit back there. So that's a little bit challenging too. But I think that's the next iteration of this defense is what is this defensive line going to do? They seem to be doing a decent job against the run, but how are you going to get pressure with 4? We screamed it last year after that Oregon game where they were not getting pressure with 4. They had to mix it up. They had to change things. Now you had elite pass rushers last year. In a world where you don't have elite pass rushers, how are you going to put them in a position to get better pressure?
Yeah. And And you saw that develop last year, even too, with having those defensive ends that were NFL level already, with having Jack Sawyer back there. You had JT Tuimoloau. You had some of the best, in the country, and it took them a while to get going. And I'm wondering if this year it's going to be the same thing. They have to kind of get their feet under them and realize what they are as a defense. Think about it. It is week 2. And like you said, we don't want to be the best that we can possibly be right now in September, even though BJ says, Ohio State is on fire right now in September. That's absolutely true. But we got to get better. We got to develop and we got to get better still. There are all those fine points that need to be solved. And and pressure is one of them. We need to find out how to get pressure with 4 or what kind of blitz schemes we're going to do.
Agreed. And again, the Texas game, what was so great about it is you didn't play a great game. And it's funny, you didn't. There's so many coachable or teachable moments from that kind of game. But this is where you want to keep winning convincingly, but have a lot of things to nitpick on game film. That's the ideal situation as you see. And again, this isn't going to really show itself until you get through the heart of that season. I think we're going to have a really good feel of where this Ohio State team stands going into the Penn State week. And the reason for that is after Ohio, 3 of your next 4 are on the road. You could have a top 10 matchup against Illinois. You could possibly be looking at a ranked Washington team in there as well too. So I think after you go through that gauntlet, you played 4 Big Ten games, 3 of the 4 on the road. You're heading into Penn State. I think you're going to have that sense or feel of what this team can do. But we all need to remember how we all felt on December 1st last year. We were demoralized. We thought this team couldn't do it. We were talking a lot of conversations that seem absolutely silly now. You need to make sure you're continuing to grow and develop.
Absolutely. Well, we got to get in a little bit into the young pups. You saw Riley Pettijohn just look like an absolute beast out there. Day mentioned the first one out of his mouth was Riley Pettijohn because he looks fitting. He just looks like he is. I mean, he played middle linebacker. He was in there, and those shots, and I talked about it yesterday a little bit too, right after the game. Just seeing him there, it's like, dude looks like a senior starting linebacker right now. And then you got to project 2 years from now. What is that dude going to look like? Like, he should be going to the pros.
Yeah. I remember when we flipped him from Texas, you and I were talking about how excited we were to finally get to the recruiting phase of getting one of these top tier linebackers. And it doesn't mean we haven't had elite linebackers, but we haven't had that 4. I know he was 4-star, but 4 or 5-star big time linebacker. They seem to be going a lot of other places, and we've had to develop that linebacker organically.
Yeah.
So getting somebody like this who bought in the Laurinaitis and bought into the system and said, no, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be that middle linebacker you all are used to here the last 30, 40 years. He played out of his mind, and it was incredible to watch. And again, this is important to your point of injuries are going to happen. We saw it last year quite a bit. So knowing that you can get in there and that
plug and play
lights are too big and you can plug and play, I think is really important.
That form tackle he had, ooh, goodness, how low he got, how he wrapped up. And I talked about it yesterday a little bit too. Dude just went for a ride on his shoulder pad.
Yeah.
Like he was bigger than that running back, and he got lower and made a beautiful, absolutely beautiful form tackle. It took me back to teaching kids wrestling. It was like, man, that's exactly what you want to do when you take a shot. Get that guy down on the ground. You won the day. With that one hit, you set a mindset in that running back's head, like, I am not running through there again because he is going to whoop me. He's going to absolutely whoop me. And football is a mental game. And I talk about it before on here. I'm going to talk about it, till the cows come home. If you can get in that person's mind, which is absolutely what Riley Pettijohn did, they are not going to want to come in your house. Like that B gap that he went to, or A gap, that guy's not going to want to run there again because he knows what he's going to be met with, and it's a force. Yeah, that's a good one too. Doug Shepard Sr. Did you see what TJ Alford looks like? He's chiseled too. Yeah. Yeah, and he's shown it too. When he gets his chances, he shines. Absolutely. Fun to watch. Like the future's bright at Ohio State. Then we got to go to Bo Jackson because I cannot talk enough about Bo Jackson. Said it yesterday, say it today. I tweeted out, you guys are going to love Bo Jackson. Next thing I know, he's in the end zone. Immediately. The dude can run. The dude can hit. And, again, what I really loved was he did not want to go out of bounds. He did not want – he lowered his shoulder and got those 3 extra yards, and I absolutely love that out of running back. Like, you do not settle for going out of bounds. You get those yards whenever you can get them. If you're a running back that loves contact, watch out because he's got the speed, he's got the moves, and everything else to go along with it. It's going to be a nasty show for Bo Jackson and defenses going against him for years to come.
Yeah, I think we talked about that quite a bit with Will Howard last year. You and I fundamentally disagreed on out of bounds versus taking the hit. I will say I align with your philosophy when it comes to a running back. You're a running back. You should not be running out of bounds. You should be.
This was different. He was going into the end zone. Don't even get me started on this. You're 6'4", 235. You lower the shoulder and score a touchdown. Come on, man.
Not my quarterback. Not my quarterback. My running back, absolutely.
Bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. If you're going in the end zone, you score the touchdown. Every single time. There is no exceptions.
There is when you have that risk of fumbling out of bounds and giving it.
It shouldn't have been a risk. He should have put 2 hands over the ball and been like, dude, you're going on a ride.
I know. But you want to see that from your running.
And that should not be something you think about. It should be second nature.
That's what we're talking about with Bo Jackson. Second nature. Your nature is I'm not running out of bounds. I'm going to turn my shoulders upfield. I'm going to get that extra 1 to 2 yards.
Absolutely.
Those are the intangibles or the instincts that you're looking for in these type of players. And even again with Pettyjohn, technique is critical, especially at that linebacker position and hitting. Yes, people can thump. Yes, people can throw you down. That's not going to intimidate you. When you're a 5'10" running back and you're used to just people maybe throwing you around, but rarely are people going to get under you and tackle you because of your size. And to be able to just get blown up by somebody bigger, faster, stronger than you who fundamentally tackled you, that's a mindset shift. That's getting in somebody's head. And that's where now you're seeing, again, with the next iteration of this coaching, is it's not just 4s and 5 stars that you're bringing to Ohio State. It's not just a lot of speed and a lot of flash. You're seeing the coaching become a part of every aspect of every position group, and you're really seeing a better coach team than most in college football.
Doug, I don't know that I would agree with that interpretation. Bo Jackson shows more burst than Peoples or Donaldson. When you see Peoples get a chance to get free, he seems like every time he's run it so far this season, he has, someone's got a shoestring tackle or someone's been there right where he needed to go. When he gets that one cut and gone, he's gone. The thing about Bo Jackson that you're probably putting in there, and let me know if I'm wrong, he's the complete package, though. He's not just a guy that has because he has the burst, but he also has the physicality. He also has the cutting, and he also has, like I said, that innate ability to just know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it right away. Like if he needs to spin, he's going to spin. If he needs to turn on the jets, he's going to turn on the jets. If he needs to plow you over, by all means, he's going to plow you over. So I just think Bo Jackson is an all-around back, and it's going to be fun for Buckeye Nation to see him. I think he needs to get the ball more already. I don't know if there's something he's not doing behind the scenes, like pass pro. I'd like to see him pass block a little bit more because I'm not seeing that much out of him yet. I haven't focused on it. So that's something that I'd like to see. And then with that fumble that he almost had going in the end zone, things like that are holding him back. Like that's, again, where you have to have 2 hands over the ball and just go in.
He's a true freshman, though. So let's realize that we shouldn't expect him to jump out of the gate. And Peoples has shown that burst too. He averaged 7.4 yards a carry yesterday. And it was always going to be tough sledding against that Texas D-line week 1. So I think that's what I really want to see next week against Ohio is I want to see – the development now of the run game. We saw the pass game, put it on tape. We know what they can do, and you need to pass a little against Ohio as well. But I really want to see a big game from Peoples. And Donaldson's not going to have that burst. Donaldson's a one-trick pony. He's a bigger back. He's going to get you those few yards. When it's 3rd and 2, he's going to get you 3. That's what you're getting from Donaldson. He's not going to have that huge burst. And, yeah, I know he averaged 9 yards a carry last week, but you and I could have ran through some of those holes. I mean, the blocking was outstanding on one of those counters that he got a big gain on. I think it was a 27-yarder. So that's where Bo Jackson being the 3rd running back makes complete sense to me, because Peoples can be your RB1, complete, can pass catch, can block against the blitz, and he has that burst. And Donaldson's your short yardage back. He's your grinder. So
out of the backfield. Don't forget Donaldson out of the backfield, because he was a wide receiver and he can catch. And I can't wait to see him in a screen pass situation where he takes it.
Yeah, I mean, same with Peoples and same with Jackson. I'd love to see those two.
Last thing I want to touch on was the backup offensive line. Looked great. It was good to see Onyeonwa in there, and boom. I thought that was – it was good to see. He was playing guard, which is interesting too. So it looks like he's got that full-time move back to guard, and, man, what a big-ass guard that is.
Yeah.
Onyeonwa is a big man. Buckeye Steve averaged 9 yards a carry in high school. I have no idea what I averaged in high school.
We're going
not 9.
Football stats, man. That's a different show. That's a different show.
In the worst league in Ohio.
Is that statistically accurate?
Probably not, but I like to say that.
Okay. That's all right.
I was an average football player in a terrible league.
Same.
Sums it up about right.
Yeah, same on my end. That's all right. That's why we're sitting here analyzing college football.
That's right.
That's
right.
So.
We know all about it.
It is.
And again, I don't remember if Peoples was said to have a jump cut or if it was a comparison to J.K. Dobbins that had me anxious for him to use it. Yes, he does have a jump cut. It's a quick. He's like a quick step and go, one cut and go. The jump cut I haven't really seen, but it's the power off of that first cut and taking it to the house type of level. He has the speed. Like I said, I saw him in the spring game get a toss left up the sidelines to the weak side or short side of the field and take it to the house against this defense. So he has burst, believe me. You just got to see him get in the open one time, and you're gonna be like, okay, all right, he's got some speed. And we'll see it eventually this season. He'll break
patient again.
Also, you got to think we're sharing the load again too. It's kind of like with Travion Henderson and last year, seeing it with Quinshon Junkins. Like, they're not going to get in that rhythm where they have 15, 20 carries a game where you get to see a little bit more of their skill set. It's just not going to happen, and I don't think that's something that's going to happen at Ohio State for a long time to come, because we're just going to bring in back on back just like everywhere else.
You're probably not going to see that 35 carry bell cow with the majority of teams. Even in the NFL, you're seeing maybe some guy might get fed heavy one season, but you're going to see him back off that quite a bit, because the wear and tear on running backs is severe. And there's no reason at Ohio State, when you have 3 to 4 legit running backs, to sit here and say, I'm going to give people 23 carries. There's just no reason. And
for sure.
And again, week 1, Texas, an elite defensive line, a tough game, a just win game. You didn't see everything you wanted to see out of Peoples. That's fine. It was August 30th. And then this week, we talked about it, and Ryan Day wanted to do it as well. It was about execution of the passing game. That's what that first half was about. And everybody else did exactly what they needed to do in the passing game. This now going into Ohio, I probably would like to run the ball a little bit more. I'm always in a game like Ohio. I want to get up early, and then it allows you to kind of do what you want to dictate the game. You're not playing to the scoreboard. So maybe you get up 7-14-0 early, and then let's start seeing a 14-play drive or 13 runs. Let's see Peoples and Donaldson get lathered up. Let's see what that running game can do. And again, these are pieces and parts that you're taking from spring, you're taking from July, and you're incorporating into game action.
For sure. Well, I think we've covered everything that we're going to do for a Grambling State game. Next week will be a little bit more intense, like we said, with the Bobcats coming in town. So we'll be here with you on Wednesday. Obviously, Seattle Matt is a Sunday type of guy, so he's doing the morning after every time. Be here with us the morning after show, sometime between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. Just depends on how quickly we can get that coffee in our system and rewatch the game in order to, bring you the best that we can possibly bring. Sometimes we're going to be a little bit behind. Plus, if someone forgets to charge their earbuds, then that delays it just a little bit too. Anyway, go check us out, cfbackers.com, for our parent company. All the articles you can think of, they're going to be there. Anything about college football, we got guys from all around. If you want to get in on a little bit of Wolverine news, I'm going to be on their show starting directly after this. Wolverine Backers is the second podcast we're putting out. We also have a Saturday night or Sunday night kind of national podcast, College Football Backers podcast. And then thirdly, we have a LSU Backers podcast, which is called Bayou Bengal Backers. And it takes a lot to say that. It's one of those things that you do it 5 times fast and you're going to mess it up. Anyway, God bless everyone. Go check out collegefootballbackers.com, cfbackers.com. Have a wonderful day and God bless. Peace out.